Hi, this is Brad from Pro Wrestling Junkies, and welcome to another episode of Toilet Side Wrestling Talk. Today's guest hails from Poughkeepsie, New York, and began wrestling in 2017. Trained at the Creative Pro Wrestling Academy under Pat Buck and someone named Brian Myers. She's worked for Creative Pro, CZW, Queens of Combat, Women's Superstars United, Synergy Pro, and in 2017 worked a match on Monday Night Raw against someone named Asuka. She's the current Empower champion. She's the current Synergy Cruiserweight Crown champion. She also is the co-holder of the WSU Tag Team Championships with Delmi Exo. She shared the ring with the likes of Masha Slamovich, Maria Manhick, Solo Darling, Penelope Ford, Chris Statlander, Max Caster, Tennille Dashwood, to name a few. So let's welcome today's guest, someone who, like my wife, intimidates the hell out of me. I give you Kasey Catal. Kasey, how are you?
Wow, I'm great. How are you? That was pretty cool.
Oh, nice. Do you remember those matches?
Yeah, it's crazy to look back on some of those moments and remember what I was feeling and stuff. So that was really fun.
Yeah, it reminds you like, oh, I'm a pro wrestler.
Right? Like I used to do that and kind of do it now.
I'm sorry for my marble mouth opening that sometimes happens at the beginning of these interviews. I have like a mush mouth.
No, you said a lot, so that was great.
Okay. This is a question that I've been thinking about a lot lately. Does it take getting used to getting someone's sweat on you?
Yes. I like, and that's so funny because like that between like sweat and blood, it's like a very strange thing because if you think about it, like if I'm just sitting here and I feel like I'm at the gym or somebody's too close to me, I get like really grossed out, but yet we're in the ring and we're like on top of each other. I mean, you don't really think about it. You know, you're thinking about so many other things. So, you know.
Do you remember like the first time like you got in the ring and like your hand like slid across some guy's back or some girl's back?
You think about it afterwards and you're like, and then sometimes you think like, oh my God, I'm so sweaty. Like, are they thinking this about me? I hope I put deodorant on or like enough, you know.
Has anyone ever spit on you in a match?
No.
Okay.
Thank
Would you allow
that? Maybe pre-COVID, but definitely not now.
Okay.
Depending on like the storyline or like if it made sense and if the person I knew was like not actually doing it to be a jerk, then like why not? Yeah.
Okay. So I'm assuming wherever you are right now, you have COVID as well in that area.
Yeah, I'm in Jersey.
Part of the country.
Yeah, it's everywhere, so I can't escape it right now.
Any hobbies or new TV shows you've picked up in the last 10 months, or I guess it's almost a year?
I've been doing a lot of yoga, getting back into it, which has been good. Yeah, man, I've watched every possible thing. I love true crime, so I watch like a lot of those documentaries. Yeah, just whatever's new, I'm always open to give it a shot.
Cobra Kai.
I never got into it, and like I hear it's so good, but like I never started it.
It's really good. I was very skeptical. Yeah. This isn't about that show. I was very skeptical, but I highly recommend it.
Oh, awesome.
And this is another thing that I want to say before I forget. Did you do commentary for Synergy Pro?
I did, the last show, yes.
And was that like something like in the works, or was this a last minute thing? They needed someone?
No, it was planned because we're gonna do a little kind of vignette sort of spot with me and my husband afterwards. So it kind of made sense to start off that way and be interviewed about what was gonna happen during an intermission. So yeah,
Sure.
it was definitely something new. I've only done it like one other time, but it was a lot of fun.
Did you have a lot of nerves before like doing it?
Yeah, I was like, I hope I don't talk too much, but then I don't want to talk too little, and then I don't want to sound like I'm nervous. And I had the mask on, so I'm like, I hope I don't sound muffled and all that.
Did you have to like practice, like in front of the mirror, or kind of like go over it with somebody?
Yeah, like I was just kind of like spitting out different things I could say. I was going over the matches, so like I could kind of put in my head like what I could say about the competitors. But yeah, like a little preparation. But I was like, I didn't want to do too much planning because then I was like, I'm going to overthink this, not have fun.
So would you do it again?
Yeah, I definitely would. It was a lot of fun.
Oh, cool. Well, see that for your post-ring career, you're getting yourself set up already. Very smart.
Yeah.
All right, let's go back to when Kasey was much smaller, a child. Were you an athletic, energetic type kid?
Yeah, so my first dream, my first goal in life was to be in the circus. I had a lot of energy. I wanted to be a trapeze artist. I was obsessed with like clowns and performance, and it's very funny because I'm kind of in a circus now, so it's full circle, But yeah, I mean, I did every sport under the sun. I was a dancer for 15 years. So.
What kind of dance?
But everything, ballet, tap, jazz, hip hop, pointe.
My wife's a dancer.
Oh wow, yeah,
modern
I
and
loved
ballet.
It. Beautiful. I miss it so much, and it definitely prepared me for this. But yeah, I loved it.
Oh yeah, I tell her all the time the connections between a dance performance and a wrestling match are closer than she thinks.
Yeah,
I mean, even more so than just like having great footwork. Yeah. What is that? Oh, it's a cat.
That's a cat. Sorry. Brady, come here.
Yeah, I think it just mooned me, actually.
I have a lot of pets, so if you see random pets walking across, it's one of them.
Okay. How close to joining the circus did you get?
I'm not close. I actually went to camp. I went to camp and I did the trapeze, so I could actually like learn how to do it. Which is really, really fun and like really scary because I'm not afraid of heights, but I didn't realize when you climb up the ladder to go up on a trapeze, like you're not connected to anything. You're just climbing. So I'm like, if I just fall, like I'm screwed. And I'm very clumsy. So, but it was really fun.
And was it like one of those flimsy ladders? It's not like structured where like,
Every time you step, it's creaking.
Yeah, or like twists a little.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing then people who knew you back in like high school wouldn't be surprised you turned out to be a pro wrestler, or would they?
Yeah, 100%. In high school, I never watched wrestling. Like I wasn't into it until way after.
Okay.
Like almost, I think 8 years ago or so, I got into it. So yeah, I was field hockey player, basketball player. I don't think anyone really would be like, she's a wrestler. Like I was a theater geek. Like
okay.
I don't really think anyone had any idea I would end up in this sort of world.
Well, whatever. So like the theater stuff probably helps you a ton as well, right?
Yeah, being comfortable in front of a crowd and taking on different characters and things like that. I actually lived in LA for a little while and tried the acting thing. So yeah, I was comfortable being in front of people and performing for sure.
Okay. So there was a period from like when you graduated high school till you said like 8 years later is when you started watching wrestling?
Yeah, so when I was around, I want to say 22, I'm 29 now. Yeah, so probably around, a little bit afterwards in college. And my friends wanted to go to a wrestling show on the weekend. And I was like, okay, well, I've never done anything like that. And it's more fun than like going out to a bar. So let's try it. Yeah. And immediately fell in love with it.
Had you seen it on television before?
Barely, in passing, who like John Cena is and Hulk
Yeah.
Hogan and The Rock. So like I knew of that, but I had no idea. I had never ever watched a match in my life before that.
Was there a particular thing that time that hooked you?
It was Cycle Circus at NYWC. So in Deer
Okay.
Park, it was the biggest show of the year that they put on. And it's like more of a hardcore like deathmatch show.
Okay.
And I just was like, this is wrestling? Like, this is what people can get away with? Like, I was like, this is not what I've, like, heard, like, about spandex and, like, this is a new world. And I was just so intrigued by it. And the storytelling and the hardcore aspect, like, really drew me in.
Okay. And what about, was there blood that evening?
Lots of blood.
And
barbed wire, yeah.
And that appealed to you. I'm not saying that that's weird or anything, but like that like intrigued you to take a look. So you go to the show the next morning. From the next morning on, when did you say, I'm going to pick up the phone or I'm going to send an email to look into this training to become a pro wrestler?
Yeah, so after that, believe it or not, I started watching that Monday afterwards. I started watching Raw on television. I was like, okay, I'm going to check this out, like, commercial now and, like, see what's going on. And I just started watching more and more and more. And then I ended up dating one of the wrestlers on the show. And the guy who actually invited us to go to the show prior to that was with one of my mutual friends. Okay. And he was like, I don't really think like, it's really hard for women in wrestling and I don't want you to get sucked into this like crazy world. And I was like, okay. And he was obsessed with wrestling, obsessed with it. Like they would never miss a Monday Night Raw. They would never miss a pay-per-view. It was an obsession in the house. So I was just falling more and more in love with it. And then we broke up 3 years later. And the day after I was like, you know what, I'm going to try it now. And I signed up for wrestling school. Mm-hmm.
So did you know of a wrestling school or did you have to research?
Yeah, I researched and I was like, okay, well, he goes to the other one in Long Island, so I'm going to choose the other one that's closest to me. Yeah, and it happened to be Creative Pro, which I really lucked out on that one.
Yeah, seriously. So so you called them or emailed them and they say, come on down for a tryout or for a training?
Yeah, so I actually went to a show first. Okay. And because I had been around wrestlers, I knew some people in passing. They were acquaintances. So I actually messaged Johnny Silver on Instagram. And I was like, hey, like, when's your next show? I'm, like, thinking about doing this. And also Nikki Adams was over there at the time. So I was like, hey, like, I really want to come train. And she's like, all right. And Johnny's like, come to the show. And there ended up being a show, like, I think a few weeks later. And I brought my friend and she wasn't a wrestling fan. And we loved the show. And I was like, this is so entertaining. Like, I got to do this. And then I remember I put a deposit down for a full month and I was like, I'm just going to commit to it for a full month and see if I like it. And I remember showing up and the first day I just kind of watched and like saw what was going on. I was like, this is really cool, but very intimidating. Then the next time I went and I took my first bump and I almost cried in the ring and I was like, don't cry because they're going to kick you out. And I was like, I want to do this. That's it.
Wow. Were you like you had never been inside of a ring before? Nobody had ever thrown you. You've never fallen before, like, and know how to do it.
Nope.
Were you nervous when you were on your way to the training for the first? Did you sleep the night before?
I did. You know what? I was more excited, and I feel like it was like me kind of coming out of my shell. And when you go past a breakup, you either cut your hair or do something drastic. And I was excited, I was like, this is going to be great for me. Like, I already know some of these people and I was so intimidated, but I was more excited. And I was like, I think I can do this. I have a shot.
And how were you physically in shape at that time? Did you think you were in shape and you weren't, or the opposite?
I was in the best shape of my life that summer. Again, breakups, I was like, new me. I was super into CrossFit. I was really into lifting. I mean, I was working out like 2-3 times a day, just because it was just the summer and, I had nothing really going on. After work, I'd go to the beach. I was super tan. I was like, I really feel confident I'm going to do this. But ring shape is totally different than being in shape. But my cardio was pretty good and my endurance was pretty good. But those first bumps, man, they were rough. Like,
did your eyes tear up?
Yeah, they were just, I was like, ooh, this is what it feels like. And I think I got suplexed 3 times on like my first or second day. and being like, oh my God, and then just being like, tuck your chin. Like, okay, great.
Oh my God.
But I remember the worst part, which is so funny to think back on, but the worst part for me and the most painful thing was running the ropes. And you know, before your body actually like builds that callus and that, you know, restraint towards it, I was like, this is so painful, and I just didn't want to run the ropes. I was like dreading it.
Okay. And did the trainers, like, they had to stay on top of you to do it?
No, I would still do it. I was like, but internally I was like, oh, this sucks, you know? And I'm always one of those people, I never show, you know, I'll never show I'm struggling. I'll always be the hardest worker no matter where I go, what I do. So yeah, like I was internalizing it. And I actually had pictures from like my first week of wrestling training. I was like, look, I have bruises and scars already. Like, this is awesome, you know?
Do your parents, were your parents like supportive of this when you decided?
I think so. When I first told my mom, I think she thought it was a joke, and then when I actually did it, she was supportive. And my first match, she actually came, and my whole family was in town for some reason. Oh, it was my mom's birthday. So everyone was in town. So they made these giant signs for me, and it was like really special. And then I ended up getting hurt, and after that, my mom was like, nope, I don't ever want you to do this again. So
she wanted you to quit completely.
Yeah,
what was the
I ended
injury?
up I shattered my nose. Like every piece and cartilage and bone in my nose was just completely shattered. So it was really, really, really bad. I got 16 stitches in the front of my nose, and then I had to get surgery a week later. I still need another surgery. It's been a really big process, but yeah, it was rough. And I remember I was in New Jersey. I was living in New York at the time, and the match was in New Jersey. I wasn't even wrestling. I was managing. Okay. And I took a spot.
Oh, God.
Yeah, I took a spot. And just, you know, accidental, landed on my face with both knees from the top rope. Oh my God. That was it. So
was that at the end of the match?
Yep. It was right at the end of the match. And the team I was valeting for was winning the tag championship. And I was at Wrestle Pro, and I remember just being in the back and not remembering getting to the back and just pouring, gushing blood.
Oh my God.
And I remember Tommy Dreamer was there. He came to the back and he looked at me and he said, you need to go to the hospital. And I was like, if Tommy Dreamer's telling me to go to the hospital,
yeah. Seriously. Well, don't let the doctors do this to your nose. Okay? Like the eagle beak. I'm just throwing it out there.
I had a great doctor. I was so lucky.
Oh, okay, good. So when you had your first match, did you think that you were ready for your first match, or did somebody tell you you were ready?
I was told, I felt confident in it. Like I felt like, okay, it was a tag match. It was like, you know, I wouldn't be in there the whole time. It was a simple, basic match. I was in there with great people and people I trusted. And yeah, they told me I was ready. And I was, you know, when you're that early on, listening to your trainers, I was like, all right, well, I know you guys know what you're doing. So, you know, you're the professionals and I have no idea what I'm doing. So, yeah, so it ended up being my first match. And it was actually a pretty decent match for a first match. And I'm sure if I watched it back now, I'd be like, oh my God. But yeah, it was actually pretty solid. Everyone was safe. Everyone remembered what they were supposed to do. So it was fun.
And did you get like feedback when you know, in the back after your match?
Yeah, and then we also did a thing at Creative Pro tape study. So after every show we had, we'd all watch the show back and, you know, give each other feedback and like learn what we could do better and things we needed to work on. So that was really helpful.
Did any of those sessions ever get heated?
Surprisingly, no.
Oh,
no.
Okay. Everyone could take the criticism?
Yeah, take the criticism and move on. You know, we're all trying to learn. We're all trying to better ourselves. So it's always, you know, it's really cringeworthy watching yourself back. Like, I don't, you know, every time you watch it, I'm like, oh man. But I was really, it was helpful. It's how you learn, you know.
Yeah. Do your friends come out and see you wrestle? When there's not a pandemic?
Yeah. When there's not a pandemic, I have some friends and family. Now that I live in Jersey, it's a little bit more difficult because I have a lot of my friends and family in New York. But the people who are local, yeah, they come and see, and they're like, "You're crazy." They come to like more of my like crazy stuff or my deathmatch stuff, which is funny.
Okay, so when did you make the decision that you do deathmatch? stuff?
It wasn't really like a black and white decision, which is funny. My husband, Brandon Kirk, he's a wrestler as well.
Mm-hmm.
And he dabbles in the deathmatch world. He does a lot of that crazy stuff. And when we first got together, he was working for CZW, and I was like, it was pitched to me to kind of go with him and do some stuff over there. And I was like, absolutely. Like, the history of CZW is incredible. I obviously want to be a part of it. And it would give me more opportunities, and I could learn a hell of a lot more. So went over there, and, just right place, right time with situations. And I was like, you know what, if I'm going to be doing my first death match and it's in the ECW arena, and, when I first started watching wrestling, I idolized ECW and Tommy Dreamer. Now I get to do a death match at the biggest show of the year. Like, hell yeah. So it started kind of like that. And then when things made sense and when the story made sense for me to do one, then that's when I would do it. And just becoming more comfortable doing it now, I'm enjoying it more. So
is there ever a time after a death match that you feel fine, or are you always like in pain right afterwards?
The adrenaline for those type of matches is so high.
Yeah.
So right after, I never feel anything. It's the morning after.
Oh, okay.
Which is like, because it takes a while for all that adrenaline and excitement to wear down. And the first shower is pretty rough, especially if you're, cut up or you use any sort of glass or anything. It's, that's painful. But definitely not feeling fine after. But it's crazy because it's different types of pain, different types of bumps. And sometimes it's not easier, but sometimes it's less painful physically on the muscles to be doing those things because you're bumping less, but you're still, cutting yourself up and doing other stuff. It's still sucks.
Do people typically get stitches afterwards?
Glue. I've seen a lot of glue with my husband. For me, like, I've never gotten cut bad. I have one scar. Yeah, I have two. I have two tiny scars from all the things I've done, which is awesome.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Before I forget, did you ever end up wrestling your ex?
No.
No? Okay.
No, and we're cool. So I'm like, it would be kind of funny. It would be therapeutic for me.
Yeah, that would be great.
Right?
So part of at Creative Pro, was part of the training being in front of a camera, cutting a promo? Do they do anything like that?
Lots of promo classes, yeah.
Okay.
So it was really fun. We did a lot of like improv classes where we'd have to like pick out, a situation and act it out, or just all types of things like that. And we cut promos all the time. We did things in the ring where we would be handed a character and we'd have to wrestle like that character, which is really cool. So we cool. Practice the in-ring with characters. Yeah, they're brilliant. They know everything. And the best training you could possibly get. So we learned literally everything.
Are there people, at that part of training who are just like so intimidated by speaking? Yeah.
Okay. And sometimes you have those days where you go in feeling super confident. So, you're going to go out there and just be like, I don't care what anyone thinks. I'm just going to ramble. And then there are other days, you had a bad day. It was hard to get to training because you know how tough it's going to be. And sometimes, it's just situational where people are like, especially new people, and they don't know, like, they've never gotten into wrestling or anything, and they have no idea what to expect. And then you got to go in front of a bunch of people that, are veterans to you and try to act like you know what you're doing when you don't. So it's really hard.
Is during that point, are you like determining like if you want to work as a face or a heel?
I kept it open.
Okay.
At that point, because I was like, you know what? I don't know what I'm going to be better at, what I'm going to be more comfortable at, or how the fans are going to, take me, or any sort of situation. And it's really up to the booker what they want. So, so we practice everything.
Okay. And what do you have more fun doing?
I think the heel stuff has been more fun lately. I love being a face, and, for Synergy, I'm like the babiest of babies. And then I go to ICW and, you know, people are throwing things at me and, you know, threatening my life. So,
have you ever gotten confronted like in the parking lot, or like have you ever been like confronted by crazy fans?
Yeah, there was one show was it in the Bronx or it was in Queens or the Bronx, and I was at a lucha show and I said something not so nice, and I had people literally follow me out to my car and like trying to jump the barricades, and this was early on in my career.
Oh my
So I had to have people to bring me back to my car.
I mean, that's gotta be scary though.
Yeah, it is. Like I've had water bottle thrown on my head. I've had people like curse me out, send me messages. And that's not fun because it's like, it's an act, you know that it's like watching a movie. So it's fun to get that reaction though, because then you know you're doing it right. So if someone's got to follow me to my car, someone's going to follow me to my car, but you know, they'll forget about it.
That'd be like if I saw a movie and I wrote to an actor, I don't like the way you're treating Denzel Washington's character. You know?
Yeah.
Is there anyone that you don't have to say a name, but are there people that you don't like to wrestle?
Very few. There are very few people that I've met. The only people, I feel like sometimes when you get someone on a bad day, or especially when you're newer, it's people want really good matches. And when you're really new, unless you're just like born with the wrestling gene, you know, for me, I was not. So I was struggling. And I'm still struggling. I'm still very green. So especially early on in my career, so I know a lot of people didn't want to be working with me because I was getting a chance to wrestle some really good people. Yeah. And they were going up to the top and they're like, well, I don't want a crappy match with this newbie, you know? So I can understand, like, so I'm always open to like wrestling people. Sometimes you just don't click and your personalities just don't click, and that's normal, but nah.
Is there like a constant sense of competition, like between you and like, you know, other pro wrestlers?
It depends who it is. It definitely depends who it is. And I'm always like, we're trying to work together, people. Like, it's a show. Like, this needs to be good from both of us. I got to make you look good. You got to make me look good.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but, you know, especially with women's wrestling, you know, we are evolving and we are becoming, you know, more prominent and being accepted and being on shows more. But there's still like a lot of places where, you know, there's only one women's match or there's one girl on the card. So when you have that opportunity to be on a show, you really want to shine. So it's very competitive, you know, and everyone really wants to get that one spot. So it's been a little bit difficult. But as the community grows, I think we're doing a great job. And I think we're just all trying to succeed together now.
Then let me ask you a dumb question. What does it entail booking booking yourself for a show? Do you have to do you reach out to promoters, or do they come to you at this point?
It's a little bit of both. You know, if there's somewhere I really want to work now, at the beginning you have to hustle and you have to send your name out there and you have to, you know, show up to every show you can and help set up the ring and just try to get somebody to be like, oh, hey, she's really helpful. Like, let's give her a shot. She's working really hard. So it's kind of just like promoting yourself and reaching out. And definitely in the beginning, oh my God, so many rejections, so many emails, so many Facebook messages, so many shows you go to, you drive 12 hours and hope that somebody will bring you back.
Yeah.
Sending matches. Now it's a little bit different, just because I've been around for a few years now. But there are still places I want to work, and there are still people I hit up and I'm like, hey, if you ever have a spot for me, like, here's my newest match, if I can come. And, you know, so it's definitely a little bit of everything now.
So do you have to is there say you wanted to work for, I'm just saying like AEW, I'm just throwing it out there.
Yeah.
Would you email every single week until you got any type of response?
Not every single week, because then I'd probably piss somebody off and then I'd be sad for life. But yeah, I would send an email probably once every few months. With the bigger companies, it's different. You know what I mean? So you have to you kind of have to ask people who are in the know and be like, hey, does this person really like when I'm how many times should I email? Like even with WWE, how many times should I email this one person, and how many times should I send a match? And certain people are different, so you can kind of get feelers out there. But yeah, like for indie shows, like it's usually a message, and then if they respond, great. If they don't, I kind of let it go. And if they want to, I let it go, because at that point they see your message. If they don't want you, they're not booking you.
Why pursue it at that point?
Yeah.
So do you ever watch like AEW or WWE or anything on IWTV at all? Still,
yeah, a lot of IWTV. It's amazing, and I love indie wrestling. That's like some of the only stuff I watch now. I haven't really been watching the most WWE. Like I watch a lot of NXT when I do watch it, and I catch up with the pay-per-views as well.
Can you watch it as a fan?
I kind of can. I still find myself like, being like, ooh, like, oh, that hurt, or that move sucked, or like, trying to dissect it, or be like, why did they do that? And I'll be sitting with Brandon and be like, oh, well, why did they do that? Or why did this person? And kind of like dissect the psychology aspect of it.
Yeah.
So it's hard. It's like hard now because, you're so ingrained in thinking a certain way. But I can still enjoy it as a fan from time to time too.
Do you like pissing off fans? Like
as
when you're
heel?
Yeah.
Yeah, as a heel, because that's the reaction you want. If you're going out there and they don't care, then you're not doing your job. So
is the thing you're told just don't put your hands on anyone in the crowd?
Yeah,
you can do anything else.
I mean, I don't really take it too far like some other heels do. You know what I mean? Because that's just not me. Especially with like my social media and stuff. Like I'm not in full gimmick all the time because that's, again, I'm acting and I'm a face other places. I'm not just going to be a total jerk to people who support me.
Yeah, you're not the Undertaker.
Yeah.
You don't have to maintain that.
Yeah. But yeah, like it's fun. It's fun to get that reaction and have people invested that much that, they'll come to you at the end of the show. Or I had people comment on like ICW Instagrams and be like, oh, Kasey's out for herself, and just write really nasty things. And I'm like, that's awesome. I'm making you care.
Yeah, they're like, you got them so upset that they couldn't.
That they're still thinking about it.
Yeah,
and they
totally.
Still have to post about me. Yeah.
Sure. Okay, I'm going to let you go in a few minutes. But can I ask you some non-wrestling related questions? Just 5 of them.
Yeah, of course.
Okay. Have you ever been held on bail?
No.
Okay. Not even in the United States, any other country?
No.
Okay, so the world you're talking about.
Yeah.
Got it. Can you recite any lyrics to any NWA song?
Probably.
Okay, you don't have to do it. Just wanted to know.
Probably.
Okay, for $300,000, would you live in a tent for a year?
Yeah.
Okay, even through the winters and such?
Yeah.
Okay. Would you ever try whale meat?
No.
Okay. And do you trust groundhogs when it comes to determining how quickly the spring is coming?
I wish I could, but no.
You don't trust groundhogs. Okay, that's breaking news. If this was CNN, it would come right across the bottom. Breaking news.
Right.
No trust in groundhogs. Well, thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate it. Where are you going to be? I know I'm sure it's very difficult at this point to say where you're going to be, but do you have anything planned in 2021? Yeah,
so the next thing I will be at the end of this month, February, I believe it's 28th and 29th. I will be at ICW in Fort Ritchie, Florida. So you can IWTV, watch it. It'll be really fun. It's going to be like a double header, and I believe No Peace Underground is going to be running that Friday, so it'll be really fun.
Oh, cool. Awesome. Well, Kasey, stay healthy, and I will be following your career throughout the year, and hopefully you'll come back on sometime.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me.
Oh, my pleasure. Take care, Kasey.
You too. Bye-bye.
All right, bye.